Let's be honest, guys, most guys fail at fat loss and muscle building not because you're not trying, but because you don't have a real framework that has been proven to get results. Now, what most people do is they hop from program to program, hoping that the next one will work. You either go in all in too fast, and then you end up quitting because it's unsustainable. You don't track anything, so you have no idea what's working. And then the worst one is you try to do it all alone. But the difference in the guys who fail and the guys who succeed is not genetics, it's not motivation, it's the system that they actually follow. And that's exactly what we're gonna break down so you know what to do. And I wanna start off with telling a story of a guy who is just like most of you men that are in this program. He worked hard, but he kept spinning his wheels. He trained 4 to 5 days a week, but he didn't track anything. He felt stuck, frustrated, and he second-guessed everything that he was doing all the time. He thought what he needed to do is he needed to work harder, but in reality is he just needed to work smarter. Because if we look at it, guys, most of you men, problem isn't training. It's a execution and a consistency problem. We all love to train. So you're doing too much guessing of what you should be doing versus actually tracking, and you're not tweaking things a part of a system. You're just hopping from program to program. So you end up quitting because you're not seeing the results because you didn't stick with the program and just make tweaks along the way. So listen, fellas, if you're serious about getting strong, getting back in shape, and getting lean, we're gonna talk about why data has to be better than your feelings. Because what do most guys do? Yeah, I'm eating healthy. Yeah, I'm training hard. But if the reality is, when we look at the feelings and correlate it to the data, is it working or is it not? Because I'm a results-driven coach. We want to be able to look at this side of things and correlate it to what you're doing to see if it's working or not. And that's why I like to track the habits, because if we say that we're doing this and it led to this result, whether good or bad, we can tweak it. We say we did this, we didn't get the results that we want. All right, we need to increase our activity or we need to dial into nutrition. We look at this, did this lead to good or bad? It allows us to simplify and track what we're actually doing and focus on a high compliance of things. I mean, think of it like flying an airplane, for example. Would you take off without checking your altitude, checking your fuel, checking whatever the hell is all those buttons? Of course not. But most men approach fat loss the same way. They have no idea what they're doing. They're not tracking or checking off anything. And you wonder why you crash. So here's the thing that we actually need to be tracking and what actually matters. We talk about your weight and your photos because we're looking for trends, not just fluctuation. We're able to track the weight on a weekly basis to make sure that we're averaging 0.05 to 2 pounds per week. And we're able to track photos so we can actually see on a monthly basis what is going on with your recomposition, because the weight and the photos will lead to different results. We talk about your step count. Your body doesn't just change in the gym. We have to be moving more as a whole. So movement is not just gym time. And when we talk about calories and protein, these are both essential for body recomposition. So we need to be tracking these two as well. We're gonna dive deeper into that later into this series. And consistency, and not just showing up. Yes, showing up is the primary thing, but we have to keep putting one foot in front of the other. We have to keep focusing on progressive overload, where week after week we are challenging ourselves, we're doing more weight, we're working harder, because we have to create adaptation. To create physical adaptation, we have to challenge the body enough to where it has to respond to get better. And this is why we built your accountability tracker. It's not just another Excel spreadsheet. It is your blueprint for success. It allows us to track exactly what we're doing. So if you're not filling it out each week, you're making this a lot harder on yourself than it needs to be. When it comes to the weekly coaching calls, you may be asking yourself, I've got the plan, I'm just gonna follow this thing on my own. Let me ask you one thing. How has that worked for you in the past? This is the biggest mistake that guys make when they join the program. They struggle in silence. They think they got the app, they got the workout plan, here I am, I'm good to go. But whenever you start to get stuck and you start to get frustrated, instead of asking for help, you disappear and you go to that program hopping again, thinking that the next one will work. This has to change, fellas, because this is what keeps you stuck. So this is what happens when you actually show up to the coaching sessions. We help you troubleshoot what's going on before you actually get frustrated. So we're being proactive versus reactive. You're gonna get answers to your questions instead of always second guessing what you're doing and trying to figure it out alone. You get to stay locked in, you're engaged, and you're enjoying the process. I mean, think of this like a team sport, guys. The guys who win championships, they don't skip practice, they don't try to figure it out all on their own, and they don't disappear just after losing one game. They lean in on their team, they take coaching, they take feedback, and they continue to work on the system, on the game plan. And that's exactly what's gonna help you win in this scenario as well. So if you wanna be one of the guys that starts to see results and see these transformations, don't be a guy that just watches on the sidelines. Show up, ask questions, and get the help that you need. That's how you're gonna win. So here's the takeaway, fellas. You gotta stop guessing. We built the accountability tracker sheet to be able to see what's working, at what level of compliance, and what result it leads to. Take it more serious. When it comes to measuring, if you're not updating your weight on Mondays and you're not logging in, we don't know if you're trending in the right direction or not. If you're not updating your photos on a monthly basis, we can't see what's going on. AKA, we can't improve or we don't know what's being measured. Coaching calls, show up to them. Make the time for it. It's a priority when you make it a priority. You might not be able to make it every week. Ask a lot of questions. Be engaged. Let's not have this be a reactive process. Be ahead of the curve so we can set you up for success. And if you do this, you're already ahead of 90% of the fellows who are trying to do exactly what you're doing. Lose weight, build muscle, and get in badass shape. Because you'll have the data, you won't just be guessing, and that's what you're gonna need to be successful.